What is going on, all you toxic men and toxic ladies? Welcome to our podcast. We are traditional masculine men, not beta boys. We believe that the more manly our culture and society is, the better off we are as a country. This podcast will be fun, informative, probably offensive, and we might even trigger some people. So, I'm going to talk a little bit today about, we got a Facebook promotion going on. Oh, also, I want to bring up, I promise you, my buddy Drew, who started this with me, he's real. I promise you he is. We went and my wife and I had dinner with him and his wife Sunday night. But I promise you he's real. We're going to do a podcast and get him on here more regularly. He's just really busy with some new life transition stuff that he's getting set up. But hopefully we'll have a constant, weekly podcast with him on here. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and get this going because we've had several people subscribe and want to hear what we have to talk about. Something I want to bring up. We started a promotion on Facebook trying to get the likes up, get the names out there of our brand, and so I got here the promotion, and it's our bourbon glass with a bullet in it, and it's got our logo on it. Just says the Toxic Man. It's good bourbon glass, actually, good high quality glass. But it just says the Toxic Man encourages men to embrace being masculine. Just because a man is manly doesn't mean they are detrimental to society. Men, embrace your masculinity. And so far, we got about 106 reactions, 82 likes, 16 hearts, and 8 people laugh. The laughs are kind of mixed, but these comments on here are great. So good. So I started out with this 17-year-old who apparently she thinks she knows everything about life when she doesn't know jack crap about life. And she gets on there, and she is a lover of Stephen King, Land of the Lost, true crime, video games. Here it is, Pokemon. So I guess she learned all her life stuff about Pokemon at age 17, so she's smarter than any other 35-year-old male out there who's lived his life. First she starts trying to lecture me, which didn't last but about a few comments, and eventually she deleted those, but she left one, and it says, honestly, what a disgusting agenda to push. So my response was, yeah, being a real man who protects his family, takes care of them by working hard and leading their children to be productive citizens of society is a really disgusting agenda. Yeah, that's just horrible. The agenda that wants men to be emotional, bumbling, out of control betas is the disgusting issue here. One guy commented, masculinity, period. There's nothing wrong with that. Toxic masculinity, being a jackass because you are a man, and that's the excuse to be a jackass. You really need a club to tell you being a real man is just fine. That makes you look very insecure. Be a real man and dump this club. That guy right there in himself is the insecure one. If he's so secure in his manhood or alleged manhood, he'll move on. He'll make his little comment, whatever he wants to say, because this is America, and then he'll move on. But to start telling someone what to do with their own masculinity is pretty stupid. Doesn't make much sense. You don't tell others what to do. You can be your own person. But anyway, he you should see his Facebook. He's got quite the interesting pictures. Doesn't have too much going on apparently with his life, except for off his costume playing. But anyway, that was a little something there. You have some supporters here. This stuff right here is amazing. More of this stuff, please. One guy puts, "Oh man, this page triggered some softies," which is true. It seems like I see these people who are jumping on the page and want to tell us to stop they're calling us insecure, yet they're the ones who aren't secure enough to just see the promotion and then move on and mind their own business. But it's funny. There are some good people that have been triggered pretty well on here. It's good to see, and I like that because that means our name's getting out there. That means our brand. Excuse me. Our brand is getting out there, and there's plenty for these few comments. There are a lot more people who appreciate what we're about, and they pay attention to what we're about, and they actually can understand the ironic play on words. The ones that flip out and lose their mind over it, or the liberals that we're not worried about anyway. They're the liberals that want to change us from being masculine men to these little beta males that don't push back, that are soft, that are emotional, bumbling, and just pansies. So that's just a little bit about that promotion. These promotions generally are pretty good. We usually get a lot of likes and start getting some interaction. And our Facebook is The Toxic Man. And then we also have Instagram, which is The Toxic Man _ Also, today I've got the Feminist Freakout. So in the Feminist Freakout, this one comes from a feminist website, and it's entitled I'm a millennial who can't live with my parents. And it says, as a millennial, I heard the same advice repeatedly during my senior year of college. Live with your parents for a couple of years while you figure out what you want to do next and save money. First of all, if you're in your senior year and you're just now trying to figure out what you want to do next, you're probably a little bit behind the 8 ball. It's time to grow up some and start figuring out in college. If you do the college route, you need to be figuring out what you want to do already. Because if you don't know by the time your senior year rolls around, you're not going to figure it out while you're trying to wrap up the rest of your schooling and then graduate. So it goes on to say, I knew that wouldn't be a long-term option for me. My dad and I are close, and I enjoy living with him, but he's unable to support me financially and has his own serious health issues to deal with. We both have wildly different sleep schedules, and it was exhausting during the 2 months I lived with him after my college graduation. So then here's another pull quote from it. Quote, for broke millennials, the reality that we may not be able to lean on our parents as a safety net for months or years after graduation is stressful. I spent a lot of my final year at college worrying about how I'd make the transition. I don't understand what this transition is, mainly because you're going back home. You know what I mean? You're going home. There's nothing to transition to. You're actually just going back to what you knew for 18 years, and you left it for 4 years, and you're just going back to it, which is partially a problem. You should be ready by the time you get out of college. College isn't a time to just go out, get your degree, and then go back home, back to what you're doing when you're in high school. The next step should be, I'm going to get a job. I should have that job lined up. But to sit there and worry about, well, I can't go back home, or I don't know what to do but go back home. I got to figure it out. It's going to take me a couple years to figure it out. What is there to freaking figure out? Get a dang job. Freaking get off your butt, go get a job, and get your own place. Right now in this economy, we have more jobs than we do people who are willing to work. There's jobs out there. You got to go look for it. If you don't go get a POS degree, it's just a waste of paper. Feminist studies or liberal arts studies or undecided major, whatever that is. But if you're going to go to college, you need to get a degree that actually matters. So to sit there and whine about how you can't get a job, you got to have a couple years to figure it out. You should have figured that out already. That's part of the growing up process. That's the problem now is we have so many these millennials who have this woe is me mentality and attitude and this garbage. It's time to step up and I don't care if you're a man or if you're a woman in this case. It doesn't matter. You got to start getting your life together. But to sit there, to go to college and then get in this debt and then go back home and figure it out. You should have figured it out already when you're getting your dang degree. So I can't say I feel sorry for them when they start whining about how, well, we don't have, I got to go back home. Like, I get if you go back home, that's fine. However, you don't go home for a couple years and figure it out. You don't sit around on the couch and figure it out. No, you go back home if you need a transition or whatever you want to call it. If you got to go back home for a couple months and then get your place, fine. Because maybe you went to school out of state, understandable. But to sit there and feel sorry for yourself because now you have to go back home, you don't need a couple years to figure it out. You should have been already going down that road. Hey, before we move on to the next thing, I just want to make sure that I remind the ones who started following us from the Talking Lead podcast, which I highly recommend. Go give them a follow. Lefty's awesome, good man to talk to, good man with good advice on guns and shooting and all that good stuff. All you that followed us, I haven't forgot about you. We still have our cup for the giveaway. I'd like to get a little bit more before we do that. Probably in the next podcast, we'll get that done. But we'll do the giveaway and be happy to get that stuff out there to you. Also, our website is www.thetoxicman.net. Come check it out. See what we have. If you are in the local upstate South Carolina area, also we will be at the Bourbon and Bacon Fest event on September 27th at Revel on Stone Avenue, formerly known as the Handlebar. If you can, come out there. We'd like to shake your hand, like to meet you. Like to get to know you a little bit. We don't know how busy that event will be, but we expect it to be a pretty good one. But if you're in, like I said, the upstate South Carolina and the Greenville area, come out there on September 27th to the Bacon and Bourbon event where we will be, and we're going to be vendors out there. So you'll see our table set up with some of our stuff, but we'd really just like to meet you and shake your hand and get to know the people who listen to us and follow us. Also, if you get a chance, like I said, go check out the Talking Lead podcast. Give Marty a shout out, Lefty a shout out, and give him some support as well. All right, so next we have the tweet of the week. And this tweet of the week is by an account called Rant Media. So they posted a tweet here, and it talks about how, quote, toxic masculinity, all that is insecure, fragile men. So that's one thing I noticed too in the Facebook promotion I was telling you about earlier, is they like to, the left, all these social justice warriors and people who are just culture changers, they want to say that the masculine men are insecure and that we are weak, when it's actually just another case of projection. And by that I mean is they're the ones who are insecure and weak. That's why they want you to change. They can't handle a masculine man, a real man, a stoic man who isn't a bumbling, emotional basket case. They want men to be emotional. They want us to act out so they can blame us for more stuff. That's what this comes down to. It's all a political thing, culture changing thing. As time's gone on, they've tried to, quote, intersect those two things. What's fragile, though, is the left. The left wants to change us. But why do they want to change us? They want to change us because they can't take on real men. they can't take on real masculinity. They can't handle the pushback. Real men will, when something punches them in the mouth, either literally or figuratively, they will get back up and they will press forward and they will fight forward. That's not what the left does. That's not what these social justice warriors do. They look so much in the past and then try to blame men for everything, when it's not the case at all. Men have helped build the society, build the culture, and there have been great women who have helped them. But those great women are the ones who have stood by their men, and like in the typical family unit. So I can't go out here and do what I want to do and have my hobbies that I enjoy to do without the support of my wife. My wife can't go out here on her new venture for a new career that she started without my support. So our plan is to build a great family together, a strong family together. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a strong family if you don't have a strong father. You can't have a strong family if you don't have a strong mother. The two complement each other. The two need each other. They deserve each other. So to sit there and say that masculinity, if you don't like what they're saying, you're fragile. If you don't bend to their will and bend to what they want, then you're fragile. That's what they're saying. So therefore, in order not to be called fragile or insecure, you better do what they say to do, even though they can't accept the fact that real men are stoic, we're strong, we believe in our morals, and we believe in our values, and we teach that to our families. And we want our children to be just as strong. But we can't handle it, supposedly, but they can. No, it's not it at all. They are the ones who are insecure. They're the ones who are fragile. Men, you keep doing what you're doing. You keep leading your family with strength and with gusto and with morals and with values. That's the problem we have today, is we don't have men in the homes that will lead their families with morals and values. They want to go out here and they want to have sex. They want to have all the fun of it. But when it comes down to there's a surprise and you actually just procreated, they don't want to stay with the person to help raise that child. I understand that sometimes there's extenuating circumstances and things just go south, but you better be there either way, whether you marry that lady or not. Your butt better be there to take care of that child you just helped create. One way or the other. You better co-parent, whatever the case is. Because if you're not there to co-parent, that child's going to see it. I coach football at a local middle school where I live. And at least a couple times a year, or I say a year, a season, during the season, some kid will mention his dad, how he wishes his dad was there to watch him play. Some kid will mention that their dad's coming, and there will be a couple other kids who say, I wish my dad would come to my football games. That dad's not there doing what he should be doing. And it's not like he's not there work because he's working. I can tell by the context, is they don't ever go to their football games. Those guys don't ever take interest in that child that they created. They don't take the responsibility. So if you want to know what's really toxic, it's those guys out there who go out there and have children and don't step up to the plate like a man and handle their business and watch their children, to raise their children. They don't teach them anything. They just teach them that the normality to their life, that child's life, is chaos by not being there to teach them anything. So to sit there and tell us that we're fragile, it's not at all. You're fragile because you can't handle real men. All right, so moving on to the segment called the Toxic Man Award. So this segment will be several different things that make you a toxic man. In our brand, it can be a dad who stepped up to help do something for his family, to do something for someone else in society, that helped out another family, that helped save someone's life. Anything like that we would look at as heroic or very virtuous. So this is from the New York Daily News. A group of Pennsylvania teens helped save a 5-year-old girl when they chased down her kidnapper's car on their bikes. Joycelyn Rojas was snatched from her grandmother's front yard in Lancaster Township on Thursday afternoon, sending police and canine units on a frantic door-to-door search across the southeastern Pennsylvania hamlet. Tamar Boggs and Chris Garcia were helping a friend move a couch when cops stopped to say the little girl was missing. Quote, "We got all of our friends out to look for," Boggs, 15 years old, told the news site. "We made our own little search party." Boggs, Garcia, and a handful of others took off on their bikes and searched some woods and a nearby creek before spotting a maroon car with a white-haired man and a little girl inside. Boggs said he and Garcia went after the car. Making a few turns in the neighborhood, the man opened the door and pushed the little girl out of the car. As soon as the guy noticed we were chasing him, he stopped at the end of the hill and let her out. And she ran to me and that she needed her mom, Boggs told the local news station. The teen put the tyke on his shoulders and brought her to police, who contacted her parents. Police are still looking for the alleged kidnapper. Cops described him as a white man between 50 and 70 who walks with a limp. The car was described as a red or maroon purple Chevy. So, obviously, it doesn't matter what age you are. This kid's 15, and all of his friends are probably about the same age. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be a man. Think about this group of kids took on the risk of confronting this alleged kidnapper, and surely they didn't have any other type of self-defense except for maybe their bikes. But there's no telling what that guy had in the car. He could have easily backed the car up, tried to run over him, try to shoot him, get out and stab him, something. But they were brazen enough and had enough bravado to go after this guy, to see that car and go and try and save that little 5-year-old girl. girl. And that earns them this week's the Toxic Man Award. And not just the one kid who was contacted, Boggs, but all of them. That whole group deserves it. If it wasn't for them, there's no telling if that girl was going to be found. Officers could have found him, yes, but the person who allegedly kidnapped her is going to be looking for cop cars coming after him. He's been trying to avoid the police. However, he didn't think to avoid a group of teens on their bikes, and they were actually out looking for the same person the police were. It's really a good story, and it should be one of those that helps you remember there are people out there, even in teenagers, as much trouble as they can be sometimes. Teenagers that are out there to do the right thing, who aren't afraid of certain things, but will stand up and do what's right when the time's needed. So this podcast isn't going to be very long. That's pretty much going to wrap it up today. I'm sorry it's so short, but it's late, and I haven't done one in a couple weeks, and I needed to. And I wanted to put this out there for everybody. Like I said, as soon as we can, we're going to have my business partner, Drew. We're going to get him in this. We're going to do a podcast together. I'm sure there'll be a little bit longer. It's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more interactive. It'll be a good time. I'm sure it will be. And just bear with us while we're learning this. This is, like I said, it's only our second podcast. So there's a lot to learn. And we're going to try and get this format just to be awesome, to where y'all want to come back, every time that your notification pops up, that you're hitting download because you want to hear what we have to talk about. Again, our Facebook is The Toxic Man. You'll see our logo when you search it. Instagram is at The Toxic Man _. We are on Spotify now, under The Toxic Man. And we are also on Podbean for our podcast. So if there's anything that you want to talk about, I've already started a little tally here on Facebook. I put the question out there. We'll have things to talk about. We'll do probably one a week. Might not get to it the fastest, but we are going to get to it. Just bear with us while we're putting this together and trying to make this the best podcast we can, because it's going to be more than just a podcast about, some news articles that have some stuff to do with what we discussed, but we're going to get deeper in the weeds about masculinity, about leading your family. It's just so much about raising your children, about how to be a good husband, how to be, just a good man in general, as we see stuff come up in society. And we got to continually push back, because there's a certain political faction out there who does not want real men in their way. They don't want real men that stand up for what is right. And what is right is traditional masculine values and morals. Just, we got to stay strong against these people who don't want us to do that. Also, if you can, go check out the Talking Lead podcast with Lefty. It's got great stuff on there. Please give us a like and a follow. Check out our website at www.thetoxicman.net. And again, Drew and I will be at the Bourbon and Bacon event at Revel in Greenville, South Carolina, as vendors. Please come out there. We'd love to shake your hand, get to meet you, get to hopefully some of these people who are close that follow us and like our page. We come up there and get to know you a little bit. Maybe talk a little bit more about what we have going on. Again, thanks for your time. Thank you for everything, for the support, for everything that you've given us, just support-wise. We have a lot to learn. We have a lot to do, and this is just the start of a good thing. This is just the start of embracing traditional masculinity and fatherhood and being a husband and being a good family member and a good friend. We also have plan to bring on my cousin. He is a bourbon aficionado. Another fellow I work with, he is a cigar aficionado as well. So we're going to have a lot of guests on here as this grows. I really like to get more and more guests on here to make this, you can hear more engaging, more interactive, fun conversation. So I promise you, these aren't all going to be me just talking, but I'm going to try and make this as thought-provoking as I can when I do these solo. And I'll start grabbing some of your topics and we'll discuss that. And, if you have anything you want us to discuss, hit us up at our email at thetoxicman.19@gmail.com. That's thetoxicman.19@gmail.com. Again, thank you for listening. And men out there, stay toxic. And while you stay toxic, also take care of your ladies. Take care of your families. And keep promoting those things which are good for them and for our society.